I'd like to call this regular council meeting to order of September 10th. Please rise for a moment of silence, and let's remember all of those who passed away last month in Bristol. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Devine?
Here.
Mr. Sabatini?
Here.
Mr. Pezza?
Here.
Ms. Cullen? Here. Ms. Rodriguez? Ms. Trinnell? Here. Mr. Plensky?
Here.
Mr. DiGiuseppe?
Here. Just for the record, Mrs. Rodriguez just called and is not feeling good, and that's what we were waiting for to get started. Mayor, what do you have?
I have nothing to report at this time.
Nothing? Public participation. Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything at this time, please go to the podium. Anybody on this side of the room?
Hi.
Hello?
Hi. My name's Andrea Beckett, and I'm a member of your community. So I'm coming down here to speak to see if I can do something to get a skate park for the children of the
Can you
borough.
state your address for the record?
Sure. 637 Pine Street, Bristol, PA 19007. So I'm interested in doing something for a skate park, and I hear that there are some issues with that liability, but you have considered it. And I was just wondering if maybe I can get a committee together to work on that.
Just for the record, about 6-7 years ago, I discussed that in council, and we had a company do some sketches and different equipment that they can use. It is a major liability with our insurance, but it's something we could, discuss over the next several months with council. The main thing is to find a location that would accommodate this park.
And at one time, we had the Jefferson Street area over near the basketball courts and the tennis courts, possibly?
Possibly, but that doesn't look like it would be a good area. That's what we had a study done before, and it just didn't seem like it would work there.
And how about at the old school lot where you already had the cement and the hills? That could be maybe beneficial. You can maybe reutilize that.
We have a couple things in the works for that area that we're going to be discussing over the next several months.
Well, is there anything that I can do as a community member to get a committee together, maybe to see, to help you out with some of those things for financially?
Give your name and number to Mrs. Fields after the meeting. If you don't want to wait, write them down. And if, council decides to move forward, we'll contact you.
Well, how can I persuade council to look forward to that?
Well, there's a major cost involved to begin with to buy all this equipment.
Correct, I understand that.
And there's a liability issue involved with it also.
And I've spoken to the different municipalities that have these skate parks in the municipality, the Middletown and the Newtown ones, and they have told me that under their insurance, it is covered.
Yeah, it's an umbrella.
Right, that it's just that you need to have that checked, that you go, and I'm not sure how frequently you go, but you go and you check, make sure the screws aren't loose and all that kind of different things that you check. And the liability generally is on the participants of the skate park, that you have the rules and that they are...
Well, they also want you to put somebody there sometimes to monitor it, to have somebody at the gate, so you need to hire an employee.
But I've gone to many of those different skate parks. That's not the case. They do not have that. They have, just like you have your Parks and Recreation, your Bristol Borough workers to go by, maybe to collect the trash. I'm hoping that to get the children involved in that for fundraising. I feel that it's a park for them, and the children in our community need to be a part of something, because they otherwise will be on the street and they just and I don't believe in that kind of stuff, so I feel that they need to be a part of it. There are grants available for that too. I've checked into into those. So I feel that there are some possibilities to help, that people can participate in it. And there's plenty of people that are very talented in our area that maybe will donate their time. Not that they have to donate anything but time, for that. So I just really feel that the children need that. They need to go off the street. They are liabilities on the street. I see them skating and I can see it in the people's faces that are driving by them. They're scared. Are these kids going to, fall, and are they going to get, run over or whatever? So I'm just wanting to do something, and we have land for them. And I'm willing to help do the work. I'm willing to help the kids get organized to do the fundraising. And I know it costs like $100,000. I've done research on that.
I think it's a lot more than that.
Well, when Middletown did it, that's what they said that the cost of theirs in Newtown.
When did they do that?
Middletown's may be older. I'm not sure how old theirs is. Newtown's is a newer one, but that was a thing. And the people raised the money. The corporations help them. We have some places here that could probably help them. If we go to them, I don't know. I just feel that I just want the kids to have something to work for. They want it, then let them work for it. If they're not successful and they can't raise the money for it and they just give up, then maybe the money can go to something else. But the kids need to be responsible in here, and they want that. So I just am here to represent them, because I'm
Well, like I
taller than them.
said, we'll discuss it at a future meeting, and whatever council elects, get your phone number, we'll contact you.
Okay, and how long do I need to wait for that? Just so I know that I don't bug you, but you
You're
haven't
not
forgotten
bugging
about
me.
me.
You can come back every
But I'm not
month.
going to call people up and want a response
Well,
from
we
you.
meet the first Monday of every month, and that's basically when we toss ideas around and discuss things.
Okay,
So you're welcome to come back the first Monday of any month.
okay, all righty. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, you really will consider it, won't you? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Bill Pezza, 1221 Pond Street. As you know, I was here a week ago trying to both bring the council up to date and ask for the council's continued support on a project we're working on together. And I noticed that the channel, our local access channel, was down, so I didn't know whether we missed the meeting entirely in terms of notifying the public, so I thought I'd talk to Ralph and Pat and thought I'd just do it again briefly. So bear with me, you were here before, and for the benefit of those who were unable to be here. Wanting to build upon the enthusiasm and momentum that we started with the Discover Us DVD, the marketing DVD, we talked about where do we go from here, and what we did is we organized a group of citizens and started on a marketing plan, a strategic plan for economic development, and we tapped into citizens who have a real skill set in the areas of marketing and economic development. And we're working on that, and one of the things we thought we'd do is contact communities similar to ours, similar demographically, socioeconomically, that had a turnaround, and ask them, to share their success. What is it that they did that we could perhaps learn from and build from? The premise is that we think that the Borough Council has done just about everything it can do. The public places look great, the parks look great, the buildings that we own look great, and we think it's time to continue to build a partnership both with service clubs and with businesses. So that's what, and with tourist groups. So that's what we're intending to do. Anyway, we contacted the mayor of Collingswood, New Jersey. If you're familiar with Collingswood, it's a significant success story. His name is James Maley, and he is a dynamic, passionate, informative individual. And we've invited him to come to town on October 9th, and this is where I want to get out to the public. On October 9th, he's going to be at the Bristol Riverside Theater speaking about building partnerships and sharing success. And we want to invite the general public, we want to invite business leaders, borough leaders, members of boards and commissions, as we spoke about, Ralph, anyone who can be there. And tickets are $10. They can be purchased. They're not available yet, but they can be purchased by the end of the week at Great IDs by Ann, Mignoni's Jewelry, and the Borough Tax Office. It's going to be followed by a wine and cheese, and that's about it. And anyone interested, we hope to see you there. It's just as another event to keep some momentum going.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Pezza?
Yeah, what time is that again, Mr. President?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, Bristol Riverside Theater, October 9th. All right, again, we thank you in advance for your support, and there's no agenda here except helping the council move forward to the kinds of things that you're already doing a good job with, and we appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side of the room would like to speak on anything? That ends public participation. Kurt, you have anything for us? Do you have anything?
No, he's here in case any questions come up on the land development subdivision or the ball field.
Okay. If council had, before we,
Can I just say
Sure.
something? Add on to Mr. Pez's comments in your packet? Over the weekend was a letter from Lynn Bush, the executive director of the Bucks County Planning Commission, basically stating they're willing to help that committee, but they wanted the borough to sign off. I know council had discussion at the work session on Wednesday on that subject, but if there's no objections to that letter, I think we should sign it and get it back to the county.
Ratify that.
And I just think,
Sure.
Lynn Bush came to one of our meetings, she stayed for 3 hours, she was terrific, she's a very knowledgeable and supportive person, and it's part of the county's economic development initiative to do this kind of thing anyway. There's no cost involved, but I think we advised her to go to you guys and make sure it was okay with you if she continued to lend her services as we needed.
May I add something, Mr. President? This is Ms. Bush, very knowledgeable, very big part, going to be a very big asset to this DVD getting around and becoming successful. And we have to keep moving on this because we can't let it stagnate. I mean, the DVD's been out, and now we just got to we got the committees rolling, and got to keep moving forward. I'm looking forward to this October 9th to meet with this gentleman who was able to successfully transform Collinswood, and any kind of good ideas we get from him is just a benefit to our town. So,
okay, anybody else have any comments? Okay, that ends public participation. Before we get started, just for council, Gilmore is here if anybody has any questions on number 4 on the agenda or number 8 on the agenda. And I'm recommending on number 8, since we did not award the job yet, that we change the word from ratify to award, whoever's going to make that motion. Okay, number 3 on the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of 8:20 and 9:05, to accept the treasurer's report for July, to accept the police and DJ's report for August, to accept the fire chief's report for August, to accept the borough inspector's report for August, and to accept the HARB report for 8/27.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Polensky. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the subdivision land development ordinance.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Cullen. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to adopt a resolution approving the 2013 minimal municipal obligation for the police pension fund.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Polensky. Any questions or comments? The only comment I have on that is, and I said this Wednesday for those of you that weren't here, these are all state mandated requirements that we're approving. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a resolution approving 2013 minimum municipality obligation for the non-uniform pension fund.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Pezza. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 7.
Number 7, Mr. Salerno, I talked to Maria this week. I changed my resolution to read differently. I would like to amend my earlier motion, and I would like the new resolution to read that our manager will notify all members of council about any boards and commission vacancies 1 month prior to making any appointments.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Sabatini. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to award the quote to R&S General Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $12,619 for ball field improvements at Jefferson Avenue per recommendation of the Borough Engineer.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Cohen. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I would like to know do we know how many infield reconstruction jobs that each one of these companies that gave us bids for did in the past 2 years or 5 years? Do we have any of that information available to us?
I don't have the answer to that specific
Oh,
question.
okay.
But we have reviewed the qualifications of the quotes that we received, and all 3 of them are capable. They have the equipment, the manpower, the skill sets, the experience to do this type of work.
Okay. And then the other question I have is what I would like to see, and I'm not against getting the fields done because I really do believe that they need, at least the Babe Ruth field definitely needs to be done. That's been a problem since I was in high school. And I even played baseball and I knew it was a problem. But the question that I have, this is what I would like to see really, is that I would like to see the bid process go out to its normal bidding process where I want to see everything included. Like I want to see, them give us a bid for materials and their labor and equipment costs. I think what happens is if you get them, I don't like to see them broken down so much. It reminds me of, when you're getting something done at your house and somebody wants to charge you, I'm going to charge you $1,000 and then, I'll send you the bill for the materials. I want to know up front how much it's going to cost. So I would like to see that go as one, as one process. So everything all together is what I would like to see. So.
If I could jump in, we did provide a cost for materials also.
Okay.
And the reason to do this is, contractors charge you for anything that they do, and bringing materials to a site, they charge you for that as well. And, we do have borough forces that are capable of bringing this material in, or the suppliers can bring it in less expensively than a local contractor would have to truck materials in. And so this is a way of utilizing that ability to keep the overall prices down. So just breaking out the materials, it didn't, make it less, or it didn't make it any more difficult for a contractor to bid on this. There's a very clear plan that was prepared, that was specifically prepared for this job, and there were specifications that go along with the plan. So to ensure that each bidder is bidding apples to apples.
Right.
And so just because the materials are being purchased by the borough directly it's not, it's very cut and dry, clear separation.
Well, if I could just jump in, knowing this business, that the borough saved an awful lot of money by doing it this way. Because if you're marking up your percentage on a job, if you have $15,000 or $18,000 of material and you're marking it up by 20%, you're talking another $4,000 or $5,000 you can mark up your equipment, your trucking, and everything else to bring it here. So when we did this, and it's under the prevailing wage scale, so it doesn't have to go out as not prevailing wage,
Prevailing also.
prevailing also.
Yeah.
So the borough, I think, on this little job might have saved anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 by doing it this way. And that's probably the only job that ever went out to bid this way. And the low bidder was what, Pat, what did you say? How much cheaper than the next bidder?
It's 5,000 and change, a little bit under 5,000.
$5,000. So it wasn't that RNS was $100 cheaper than the next bidder. He was almost $5,000 cheaper than, and that's only on a $15,000 job.
Right.
Do you mind if I ask?
No, go ahead, Gordon.
Kurt, I know, as the engineer, you might not be able to answer this directly. I'm sure you can answer it in great depth, but do you see this as a pretty simple project that shouldn't have lots of change orders that come along with it?
Yeah. The only thing that we regretfully didn't include in this bid was, we thought that the prices were going to be higher. And if you see, one of the prices was over $20,000. And if you exceed 18,500 threshold, then the project has to go out to public bid, and it starts to get a lot more expensive to do that type of work. So we tried to pare this scope down to just getting that hardball field taken care of. Mm-hmm. And when I had met with a few of the borough staff and officials, we looked at the softball field as well, and there was some uneven. The whole idea is to try to make it safer for the kids. You know, a guy running for a foul ball trips over top of a 6-inch high
absolutely.
mounded
Definitely
dirt,
needs to be
ground
done.
ball comes up and hits somebody in the mouth. You know, that's what we're trying to avoid. We wish that we had scoped some work to do in the softball field to kind of level it off around the infield, not do as extensive. I mean, this is like a full infield reconstruction. They're going to undercut the entire area between all the bases and around home plate and rebuild it with new infield mix. It's going to be a skin infield instead of a grassed infield, and part of the reason for that is because it just gets used by so many different leagues that the turf doesn't hold up that well, and you can rake this and just keep playing on it when it's dry, and it's going to get regraded so it's nice and flat as well.
When you say skin, what's that mean?
It's all dirt.
Oh, okay.
So the infield that run around the bases, like the whole,
Yeah, the whole thing's dirt.
yeah.
So by saying the only thing that you regret, are you saying that might be a change order?
You know, we can negotiate with the contractor for that. If not, we'll just do it separately. In hindsight, I wish we bid it as an option, so it was in these base bids or alternate bids, so we saw the numbers now.
Because it may have come in under that 18.5 anyway.
May have still come in underneath that. We had gotten some preliminary quotes, just trying to feel out the job, and we were teetering on that amount,
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, I mean, the scope of work, it's cut and dry.
Okay.
It's a set of plans, a set of specs. It should be in and out. No unforeseens.
Thank you.
I have one more question, Pat, and then, sorry about that. I guess the last question is, I guess not even a question. I would feel more comfortable because this company definitely came in way less, which is good. The problem is we're breaking it up so it looks like two separate pieces. I rather see one piece which includes everything, that is materials, everything together. So it goes out to that bid process to make sure, everything is done the right way. And these guys will still be here, you know what I mean? And I'm sure since they're low, they'll put in another bid that is going to help us.
But why would you want to spend more money?
I mean,
I wouldn't want to spend more money.
You
All I
are,
want
by
to do is,
including the material. The borough can buy the material. We pay no tax. We're having it brought in at a so much cheaper rate. Why would you want the contractor to make more money?
no, I wouldn't want anybody to make more money because this is, my main concern is this. My main concern is until we find out, and this is probably, this would be a better point to make is, until we find out how many baseball fields that any of these companies have done in the last 2 to 5 years and see what their expertise, because it sounds like it's something that, even though they're contractors and landscaping, whatever, I like to know, what their expertise is in doing, because it's like with any contractor, I don't want to just pay the lowest guy just because he's the lowest guy, and then, 10 years later, we got to come and spend another, 20 grand or whatever it is to fix his problem. So, I'm basically would like to know, what they have done in this area before I go about it, so.
all three of these
Now,
contractors.
I just want to say something. First of all, Mr. Devine, you need to understand the process of how this works. And we discussed this Wednesday night, and you could have asked all these questions.
Ralph, I
Number-
don't understand why you have a problem.
Well, I'm
when
trying
I
to
ask
explain
questions.
something
I know,
to
but I
you.
don't understand why you have a problem when I ask questions.
No, I don't have a
Whenever.
problem. What I'm saying
I
to
could
you
have asked
is,
them last week.
No,
I
you
have
could
asked
ask them
last
tonight.
month. You sent me the email.
want me to finish? I listened to you.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Go ahead, I apologize.
First of all, you need to understand the process. You don't get to choose and pick who does what, or how many fields they do. When there's a bid process, anybody can bid this job, whether they're a plumber, electrician, a landscaper, a heating contractor, or just some Joe Blow that hangs on a corner. As long as they're the low bidder on the project, the borough, unless you could prove that they're not a responsible bidder, you have to award them the contract. When we did the exterior of this building, a company came in from Delaware, and we weren't happy with them. Nobody knew them. And they were the low bid, but the borough was obligated to give them the job. So when you say how many field, if they never did a field, when Pennsbury put out 30-some playgrounds to bid, I was the low bidder on that project by $20-some. You know how many playgrounds I did prior to that? 0. But they had to give me the job. And I redid every playground in Pennsbury School District. So you don't get to pick and choose who the contractor is. You get to pick and choose who the low bidder is.
Right, I understand. It's not even pick and choose. That's who the low bidder is. It's
That's
not-
it.
Right, but what I'm saying is...
And it was sealed bids. They went in, and R&S was the low bid on the project by $5,000, or almost $5,000. The material was also spec'd in the project that's in your packet that is supposed to cost the borough about $15,000 to $18,000. So we already know what that cost is. You add the two numbers together, and you come up with the total amount for the project. If you wanted R&S to supply the material, and that's fine, he will supply and he'll mark it up 20%, and the borough will pay an extra $4,000 for him for no reason at all. That's the process.
Is that it?
I don't think I could explain it any clearer.
No, I understand that. I think that what I'm trying to say is, whether it is the process, which I do understand, the question I still have, and it goes back to, if I'm hiring a contractor, I want to make sure before I hire a guy for my roof, I don't want to hire a drywall finisher or a cement mason to finish my roof. I want to hire a roofer. Same thing applies here in this situation. I'm not saying that they're not qualified. All I want to do is I want to know before I say yes to this plan, which I have no problem saying yes to because they need to do it, is I want to know the experience that each company has dealing with resurfacing baseball.
I mean, I don't know how, I told you that we know this firm, we know all three of these firms. They all are more than qualified to do this work. I spoke with the owner of R&S after he submitted his bid. He was curious to see what other bidders came in at, and quite frankly, he left some money on the table, as you can see, a lot of money.
Right.
He did that not by accident. He just finished working for this borough. He's proud of the work that he did. He wants to give back to the community. That's why he was able to do
Okay,
this
Kurt, let me
project
ask you a
that
question.
inexpensively. And I can assure you personally,
Right.
having seen this contractor and their skills, not just in this borough, but I worked with them years ago in New Hope Borough, they are as good as they get.
Right. And I'm not questioning their ability to do good work. I'm not questioning. The borough yard looks good.
A
All
drywaller
I'm saying
to
is
do
this.
your roof.
Right.
It sounds like, what are you questioning then?
No, the question is this, I'm asking you. So if you have a roof to do at your house, right, and you do the same project, you get 3 or 4 companies to come out, and the lowest bidder is a plumber, right? Are you going to let him do your roof because he gave you the lowest bid? Wouldn't you want to know how many roofs he did? At least if he's a plumber and his side business is roofs, don't you want to know how many roofs he did before?
This is an earthwork excavating contractor. The scope of this project is to undercut the earth and put back in material.
I understand. I want to ask you a question. Now.
He's very
Do you understand?
qualified
I know.
to do
I'm not
this.
saying he's not qualified. Wouldn't you want to know how many roofs that plumber did before you hire him?
Why would you hire a plumber to do
I know,
a roof?
that's what I'm asking.
I mean, we're talking like hypotheticals.
Is that really that crazy of a question,
Hire a
Ralph?
contractor that does excavation. The job is excavation.
He's not, I know it's excavation, he's not just digging a ditch to put a pipe in. It's a baseball field that, there is some...
What?
There is some specialty to it, don't you think?
Yeah, there's a special mix of dirt that you
You need
use.
the right equipment.
Well, I'm still
Good job.
feeling the same way. So I just want to put it on record, I'm not against the project. I just want to know, before I prove it, how many baseball fields did each company do? That's all I want to know.
There were a drywaller here recommending to build a roof for you. I wouldn't stand here and tell you that I agree with this.
Okay, I appreciate it.
It's kind of my job. No, it doesn't.
Mr. Sabatini.
Yes, in this bid, I don't see engineering costs.
Yeah, we did a survey and a grading plan, which was performed prior to it going out for bid. I don't know the cost off the top of my head. I think we quoted the borough cost. Jim, Anna, do you remember what the quote was?
I believe it was about $3,500. Because the engineer has to prepare specs to go out to bid, so he had to do the survey to determine what had to be done. Let me say a couple things. Gilmore Associates has done numerous recreation fields throughout the county, as well as Montgomery County, as I understand. Number two, the reason we're in this box is that the high school team starts practicing towards the end of March, and there's no way we can get this field in a safe condition unless we expedited this work, and that's what we tried to do, and I thought we had the complete backing of council to get this done. This was extra work under significant time constraints, and I want to thank Gilmore, I think, for doing an excellent job. If council doesn't want to award the bid, they don't have to, because we had thought we would be in a position by last week to, proceed with awarding the quotes, and that was under the direction that I thought I had from council about a month ago. Things got pushed back, because we wanted to make sure things were right. We got the recommendation of the engineer late Friday afternoon. I have not signed off on this. I agree with the recommendation of the borough engineer that if you want to make a safe field for our high school team come the end of March, I recommend you proceed with the engineer's recommendation. Because all it is, dirt and whatever, and that contractor has the equipment to do the job. And we won't pay him unless he does it right.
Kurt, you also mentioned, excuse me, Mr. President, you also mentioned that he left $5,000 off the table because he wants to give back to Bristol?
He specifically had said, I came in, basically at cost. It's right in their backyard. They feel they can do the job, and not take a hit for this amount, but, they're not making profits, like they...
What's the projection of time on a job like this?
Well, you're in the construction business. It's how much manpower you throw at a job and how, quickly you need to get it done, how many hours you work in a day. I think they could get this job done in under 2 weeks.
2 week, you're saying 2 week period with the weather being
Yeah,
this way or
mobilize,
that way?
demob, concrete's got to set around the
And
bases.
I know it's a tough question to ask.
Yeah, the contractor, depends how much manpower they bring down. If they have 2 guys out there, if they have 6 guys out there, it makes a big difference.
I have no problem with that baseball field has been a problem. It needs attention. I agree with a lot of things that was said, but it's a little vague to me that it says 10,000, we're accepting this for 10,000, and it says 12,000 because you have to have...
That was corrected, I think, Pat.
Yeah, but we have to advertise.
I can explain that
That's fine.
a little
I mean,
bit
I
too.
can
We had
live
them
with that.
break out some alternates
And
for...
I've always, I know that the engineering cost, I always thought that the engineering cost was, with the price, but, that's no big deal. I got everything saved.
Yeah, and just one thing, I think it was very important that we did do the survey. We originally were just going to try to, have a contractor go out there and regrade it. The ball fields, I mean, you can see that we're talking very minimal slopes, and that's recommendations of, NCAA, guidelines for design, and that's what our registered landscape architect followed. But this is a tough field. I mean, if you've ever worked on it, you probably know that, water comes across it, it's hard to keep it dry, the parking lot's about the same height as home field, and whenever you get some serious water wants to, lay in the low points. So it's pretty specific survey and grading plans that the contractor has to build to.
Excuse me, Mr. President, is Gilmore going to be out there doing a survey and the as-bills and stuff and every...
If you'd like us to, we can. We haven't
So
submitted
that's
costs
not
yet, we just
submitted
haven't even
yet.
gotten to that point yet, to be honest
Okay.
with you. We're trying to keep things moving because, it's going to be Thanksgiving soon, and we're not going to be able to put, sod down. So, but, we certainly can be out there, we're capable of being out there, we have staff that could do that.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for answering the
And
question.
Kurt, I hope you don't take offense to the questions. I think
No.
that this is the first time the council's had a substantive conversation about exactly what was going to be done. So I think the questions that everybody was asking, we were doing due diligence. That's what we're expected to do. So thanks for all the information, and I think we're all more informed now than we were a little bit ago. So thank you.
Mr. Salerno, I have a question for Mr. Chiston. Can you preclude somebody from bidding on a project that only does baseball fields?
No, the engineer sets the requirements of what the job is, and I would think the borough would want as many people who could qualify to bid without calling them a ball field company or landscaping company. You would hope the contractors would know what they're capable of, and if somebody bids that's not qualified, we'll know that and we can exclude them. But I would think we would want to invite as many people as we could. And in this case, it's basically, not to belittle it, it's an excavation. It's not truly a landscaping job. It's an excavation job. You're picking up soil and you're putting down some clay bricks and some soil, but it's got to be to your specifications as to grading, et cetera. So I don't know why, even if you could do that, why you would want to limit it to certain people. It's like when we went out to Public Works, there were, 14 bidders? That's why we rely on the engineer to review these bidders to see that they match the qualifications that are required in the specs. So,
29 bidders, as I remember.
Right, 29, whatever. Yeah. All right, the last question I have for council is, do you want to change this motion to rebid this with material included?
No.
Or do you want to bid it as is tonight?
May I make a remark on that?
Yes.
I don't see how anybody could vote for any contractor to come in and bring the materials if Bristol Borough has the ability to not pay taxes and to get these materials probably at a discounted price. So I think that makes sense that we take care
Do
of
it the
that.
way we're doing it.
Yes.
We need an apples-to-apples quote, and that's what this is. Each one of the contractors that quoted their quote would have added 5,000, 10,000. That number would have stayed the same no matter what the contract was, so there's no need to break it down any further. We basically, my understanding is that we asked for a quote specific to your bid specifications for the work itself, for the labor that'll be done on the field, correct? Okay.
Labor and equipment.
I would like to just add, I'm sorry, Lorraine, this is a very low bid, and I think we're happy that we're getting it at a discounted rate. I would just hope, as I asked Kurt, that we continue to take advantage of that discounted rate, and that we be pretty tight with with the job that we are approving, as far as, not really opening up the books much more than what it is that we are agreeing to tonight. I mean, I know things happen, I understand that.
There's always unforeseen
Yeah, right, but,
issues.
I would
but-
like us to be able to take advantage of this discounted price moving forward. That would be my hope, my goal.
Yeah, we tried to make it as comprehensive as possible, what to do with the material that they excavate, where to put it, when the materials are going to be showed up from the Public Works and all. It's a very comprehensive package. I don't
Not
see there
only
being any.
they're low bid, I don't think there's a contractor around this area that is better than them for this kind of work.
I have confidence in that.
for
And
17.
also, I think before the weather changes, it's important to get this started now that we have all of this together.
I think that getting back, like, to how we are able to acquire vehicles at a discount, with the new Borough Works building, we're getting gas at a discount, getting diesel at a discount. Doesn't make sense to put it into a contractor's hands.
Pat, you've been in business a long time. You go to work to finish a sidewalk, somebody supplies the cement. Am I correct?
Right.
So, I mean, this isn't uncommon in this profession. But in this situation, it's even better because we're saving money by supplying the material.
This price of $18,000, Mr. President, would probably be $25,000 to $30,000.
Right.
If it was coming from the contractors. But
Okay,
I
I
gotta
think,
say, if R&S Construction is willing to go down because of his allegiance to this town, I have no problem with that.
I think we're going to keep the motion as is. We have a motion on the floor in a second. Roll call vote.
Mr. Devine?
No.
Mr. Sabatini?
Yes.
Mr. Pezza?
Yes.
Cullen?
Yes.
Ms. Trunell?
Yes.
Mr. Plansky?
Yes.
Mr. Di Giuseppe?
Yes.
Carried 6.
Okay. Number 9 on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the advertising the amendment to the police pension ordinance to comply with the current collective bargaining agreement and state law.
Second by Ms. Cullen. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 10.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the time extension for the NovaCare land development on Green Lane to November 15th, 2012, per the applicant's email dated August 17th, 2012.
Second by Mrs. Cullen. Any questions or comments?
I would just like to say that, the project is not without its ups and downs and highs and lows, but I do think we're trying to get things in order to get that to be the project that we all want it to be.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I get a motion to
Can I
adjourn?
just quickly, under other business, I apologize, I wasn't here on Wednesday night for the meeting. I just wanted the general public to know that the Enterprise Zone Strategic Planning Committee meeting will be hosted by Bristol Borough on the 18th of this month. My colleague, Mr. Pez, and I spent some time working on this. We've been appointed by the Enterprise Zone to represent Bristol Borough, and we just want to promise all the residents that we will do so and make you proud. So we will be meeting, we've identified some properties together. We're going to be working closely on this, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with something that will benefit the town itself. So on the 18th, Greg and I will get to show off our municipal building, so.
Can you update us on your test for the civil service?
Oh, yes, right at this point, Ralph, we have 4 applicants. They have until the 14th to apply, and the test will be on the 22nd of September at 9 o'clock. It's being advertised in 3 different newspapers, the Pilot, the Courier, and the Burlington Times. And at this point, I'm a little disappointed that we have 4 applicants, but 4 applicants is better than none. So, we're going to move forward with the civil service test and hopefully come up with an eligibility list for council by, I guess, the beginning of November.
Thank you. Last thing is, don't forget the doo-wop Saturday night from 6 to 10. Hopefully everybody could attend. It'll be a great night for the borough and a good way to showcase our town.
I've got one more thing. Actually, it's for the chief. Chief, at St. Mark's in front of Wage Funeral Home, there are cars during dismissal, when St. Mark's is dismissed, where there's openings for the buses to come in. People they're parked all over that spot, and there are a couple signs, but it seems like you have to have a sign every 3 feet for the people not to park there. So I don't know if this was, I was trying to think of an idea to help them. Would it be okay if I told the people at St. Mark's, if a half hour before dismissal, if they go out there and there's cars there, that they could call the police and they can come out and see what's going on, ticket or warnings, something like that? Right, they don't, that's the problem. The problem is that it's creating safety concerns because only one bus can fit in there. The other
they put
buses are
cones
parking
out?
on Jefferson Avenue. Okay. All right, thanks. That's it, thanks, Ron.
If I get a motion to adjourn?